Guys, this is our Metabolic Makeover seminar here, webinar. I'm going to record this. A lot of people probably watch this on recordings, but I am going to go ahead and start this this webinar right now and leave it up for recording. Basically, we're going to talk about this right now here in Minnesota. I don't know if people might watch this from other parts of the country and be, this might not be an issue, but right now we had some snow this week and winter's coming in, and a lot of people have this defeatist mentality that, oh, I'm just going to hibernate in winter. I'm just going to eat and sit around and accumulate body fat in the winter. And they've already kind of get into this bad pattern every year where they put on a bunch of body fat and gain weight over the winter, and then they try to take it off when the weather gets nice. And that just doesn't have to be the case. I've always found that having something to focus on in the winter months makes them go a lot better, and having a fitness goal and working, they say summer bodies are made in the winter. That is really true. So this is a great time to really work hard on your fitness, because I don't really feel there's as many distractions here in the winter, because summer we have boating, we have fishing, we have cabins and that's this culture here up here in the northern in the Minnesota. But in the winter, we don't have as much to focus on. It's just easy to get kind of sucked into sitting inside, watching a lot of TV, being inactive. And what I want to present here today is a way to give yourself a metabolic makeover. Because when most people tell me their metabolism is broken, they're too old, they can't change their body. A lot of times when you look at what they're doing or what they're not doing, it's very fixable with the right plan. They just don't have a good plan. And what I hope to lay out here today is a good, solid plan. And we're going to do this metabolic makeover. So I'm going to give you some stuff that's been proven over the years. And I'm just going to, share some hard truths, maybe some things that there are urban myths that you've been caught, or sacred cows that you've been holding on to that aren't true, and hopefully create some aha moments that help you kind of say, oh, that's why that's not working, or that's why I haven't had results. This is, and that's what this is about. I need those in my own life. And that's the great thing about fitness, is there's always new things to learn and ways to do things better. And that's what we're about. We're about to provide real life solutions that you can do, that's not going to make you camp out in the gym or just eat broccoli and tofu. But stuff you can just apply right away to your own regimen to start seeing results. And then we're going to give you some tools to start your breakthrough. So I'm going to give you some solid steps, and then I'm going to present an opportunity for you to turn this thing around before you get into winter and get into that holiday/winter doldrum mindset. So if you don't know who I am, if you're just watching this, just a quick bio. Some of you guys might watch this and decide that know that this is me, but I'll just give you a quick background. My name is Eric Peacock. I've owned Pure Vita Fitness for 15 years. I've been a personal trainer for 25 years. I did acquire a Bachelor of Science degree at Minnesota State Mankato. I do hold 3 accredited certifications, and I am a certified level 1 nutrition coach through Precision Nutrition, which is considered the gold standard for nutrition coaching in our industry. I was a college athlete. I've done a lot of physique shows. I've trained people for physique shows, and I know most people aren't going to go to that extreme, but what that teaches you a lot about how good nutrition and the right plan can get you really, really lean. You can dial it back if you're not, just for the normal person. And I've helped hundreds of people reach their goals. And the main people I help are middle-aged people like myself, people that are busy. They have kids that need attention. They have parents that need attention, and they don't have a lot of time for themselves. So the time that they have to maximize that time so that they can get the maximum results in the minimum time, because they have so many other things pulling them in different directions. So I really find that we're kind of in that sandwich generation. I know right now, my kids are busy, they're in their activities, and my parents need help and need support too. So we're kind of getting pulled from both ends. So when we spend time on something away from those things, we want it to count for something. And that's where I feel like the middle-aged people really like what we have to offer. So this is really kind of who it's geared for. The busy, it's for anybody, but especially for us middle-aged people that are kind of at that crazy phase of life right now. So what do we see in America? I'm just going to talk about the problem here. Most people in America, have been conditioned to think that aerobics is the way to lose fat. Every time somebody says they want to lose fat, they kind of go right to cardio. And someone coming in here. So everybody goes right to cardio when they think about weight loss. And they did a study back in I believe it was the 90s. This guy named Davis did a study with 1,000 women who only did aerobics, and they were asked if they reached their fitness goals. They had a weight loss goal, and they did this for a year. And how many do you think of these people actually made their weight loss goal after just doing a ton of cardio. A lot of times I get answers like, well, 20%, 10%. The answer is a big fat zero. 0% people reach their goals just doing cardio. And that's what we've been conditioned for. You know, the gyms, the big gyms, they, you know, one of the jokes we have is they rent treadmills, they rent cardio equipment, you know, home exercise equipment. You know, the joke is that it becomes a good hanging for the laundry. So we have 1,000 people that did not hit their fitness goal with just cardio alone, but we've been conditioned to think that's what we need to do. And if that was working, and we have more health clubs than we've ever had, we have more home equipment stores than we've ever had, why does our obesity rate keep climbing? And we're at about a third of the population, just over, I think it was 34%. This is the latest thing. 1 out of 3 people, 34%, is not just overweight but obese. And what do we consider that? When we look at that, we look at body composition. Men that are over 25% body fat and women over 30% body fat. And the scary thing is when you see this becomes kind of like a generational curse. A lot of times when you see overweight parents, you see that passed down to the kids, because kids are gonna do what they see modeled to them. So this is more than just about us getting healthy. It's about setting a new direction for our entire family, because I see that as goes the family, as goes the leader, as goes the pack, they say, you know, and we lead our families, and we have to lead by example. We can't just say, you need to eat healthy, but here I am, you know, knocking down a bag of chips and eating sugar while I'm telling my kids not to do that. We have to lead by example as parents too. So it's really scary to see kids that are having more health issues than their parents, and we want to turn that curve around. I know a lot of us in our industry are really passionate about this. So next slide. Let's see. Come on, go. There we go. So what do we see? More problems here. What do we see when we consume media? We see reality TV. Thank God The Biggest Loser is gone. But we see these, it's kind of like the HGTV, these extreme makeover type things where they don't show you really, they show you these extreme measures to get people to lose weight. They show you that you have to kick the crap out of yourself. You know, you have to beat the crap out of yourself. No pain, no gain. And then we got the infomercials that tell you that there's a magic bullet. You know, you have a magic bullet out there. There's some secret workout program you haven't tried, some secret supplement that some doctor discovered from the innermost jungles of Africa or something. And there's a magic bullet that's a top secret that nobody knows. And so we hear this pounded into us, and, you know, infomercials make money, and they get people, they sell false hope. A lot of times people want to find that magic bullet. They don't want to do the work, but the actual goals we got to be shooting for, guys, and this does take work, is muscle hypertrophy. And that's just a fancy term for adding some lean muscle mass. Most people I know don't want to be a bodybuilder, but after we get to the age of 40, we start to really drop body fat at a higher rate, or muscle at a higher rate, not body fat, excuse me. But muscle requires calories from our body to maintain. And that's one of the reasons why our metabolisms start to really suffer. As we were younger, we use our muscles more. And as we get into more sedentary lifestyles, sitting at a desk all day, sitting on the couch, sitting in our cars, we don't use the muscles. And it is really a use them or lose them thing. And so we have to do strength training to keep muscle mass, which is going to help keep our metabolism healthy. We also have to talk about fat loss versus just weight loss. And I'm going to get into that a little further on here. And then joint mobility, keeping your body moving good. One of the problems is if we don't move good, our bodies are in pain and they're stressed and they're inflamed. When we're in that state, hormonally, we're programmed to add or keep body fat. So we have to get our bodies feeling good. We can't just diet. And we have to do all three of these, you know, strength training, cardiovascular training, and mobility training. So we'll talk about that. And, you know, a lot of people have excuses why you can't, but turn them into why you should. You know, find out why, make that why you should do it powerful. All right. Not because you feel like you have to, but like I mentioned, your kids, I mentioned, what are you not able to do right now in your life because of your physical state? Or what are you holding back on? You know, I've heard people like really kind of limit themselves. Like, I'm never going to go skiing again, or I'm never going to water ski, or I'm too tired to play with my kids. I just lay on the couch. I just collapse after the day. That is not a high quality life, guys. So, you know, exercise in itself, I'm not saying that you're going to enjoy it, but what is the means to an end? What is that end for you that's going to fire you up and get your butt out of bed when we have these cold mornings, when we have the dark, you know, the darker, shorter days? You know, you have to find out what that is. And that's what's going to drive some emotion in you, something that's stronger than the urge, that beats your feelings, because it comes down to discipline versus feelings. And discipline means you do what you need to do no matter if you feel like it or not. too often we let our feelings direct our ways, and we have to learn how to be more discipline focused versus feelings focused. Why do most programs fail? Not knowing where to begin. People kind of just do this shoot from the hip approach, or like I said, they have this a diet only or exercise only. You know, diet only, a lot of times you'll lose weight, but you'll lose a lot of muscle mass. Exercise only, like I showed you, that cardio exercise on its own isn't very effective. And a lot of times people justify their ability to eat more because they're exercising and they never create the deficit they need. And they lose the muscle mass too. Like I said, if you don't, or if you're exercising and you're not paying attention to nutrition, a lot of times you're probably eating more than you think, and you're not getting into a caloric deficit, which we need. And also moving your body more. Sometimes people think 30 minutes of cardio a day and then they sit on their butt for 23 and a half hours the rest of the day. And what is your body going to reflect? So we have to move more. We can't just starve ourselves and not move, or move a bunch and then eat like crap. We have to have a balanced program. And then number two is really making sure that we make nutrition a priority. I would say nutrition is about 70 to 80% of your results. A lot of people don't make it a priority. They don't want to log, they don't want to track, they don't want to do this. But I'll tell you what, when you start being consistent, I never say perfect, when you start getting consistent and developing good nutrition habits, what will happen is you will start to see your body change much, much, much faster. And you'll start to see those muscles pop out. You'll start to see that definition from all those lifts you've been doing in the gym, from those leg exercises. That's where you see the development in your body. But you got to get the layer off first. So if you're paying attention to nutrition, hormones are going to be programmed to burn fat. You're going to get into a rhythm. Your metabolism is going to work better, and we're going to get into that. Not having a plan. A lot of people will spend more time planning their vacations or their kids. They do a really good job coordinating all their kids' activities, but when it comes to their own fitness plan, there's no plan. And there's that old adage, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. A dieter's mentality, it's like people don't have any resilience, it seems like. It's like if you don't see results in a few weeks, we just give up and we just say it's not working. I've seen that sometimes it changes, it turns around quickly, and for other people it turns around slowly. But it's about keep throwing punches, keep going after it. Eventually something's going to move in the right direction if you're doing the right things consistently. And it's just going to happen sometimes faster for others than it will, and for you maybe. But that's okay. Everybody's on their own journey, so don't compare yourself to others. And then a lack of professional guidance and no accountability. A lot of people try to do things on their own, and their track record's probably not very good. They have more losses than wins. And I'll tell you what, if you want to get more wins, find out how to do it the most efficient way and have yourself be accountable to somebody. And then I talked about this, no purpose or goal. Why are you doing this? All right. Don't feel like because your spouse says you have to, because you're trying to keep up with your friends. There has to be a deeper meaning or purpose to this. And if you don't have that, you might go for a while, you might be able to white knuckle it for a while, but it's not going to maintain itself. You're eventually going to give up. So you got to keep dialed in on why, the purpose. Who do you want to become because of this goal? What does that make you? What is that? Most people have an idea of what they want to do or who they want to become. And how does being fit help support that purpose of who you want to be? So we have to have a complete program. Nutrition. Obviously we're going to talk a lot about that today. Supplementation. A lot of people still think, well, I can get it from my food. Well, that is true, but most Americans aren't eating 7 to 11 solid servings of fruits and vegetables each and every day. And I know this for a fact because I look at people's food journals on a week-to-week basis. I'm always looking, and they are typically not getting enough fruits and vegetables. I don't think I've ever seen anyone get this. And just for an example, vitamin E, which is a big antioxidant, important vitamin in our body, to get 400 to 800 international units, which is the optimal dosage, we would have to eat about 33 pounds of spinach. So yes, you could get it from your food theoretically, but it's more practical to get some of it from your food and then fill in the gaps, the voids, with some just basic supplementation. We're not talking about a cuckoo berry root or some kind of fancy stuff. I'm talking about a multivitamin, omega-3 fatty acids. I believe in probiotic for good digestive health, basic things that your body needs that a lot of times it just doesn't get enough of in our daily diets, to make sure we're getting those in optimal amounts so our bodies can function at the highest level possible. Resistance training, not just to increase muscle, but to also increase metabolism. Cardiovascular exercise to create the deficit. And then coaching. I think a good program always has coaching, support, and accountability. And a lot of the times what we do is it's a lot about mindset coaching. A lot of times we have people in our lives that coach us. We have an insurance agent that coaches us on the best insurance needs. We have a financial planner that tells us how to invest wisely. We have, maybe a hairstylist that tells us what the best do is for us. We have all these people that we don't think of them as coaches, But that's really what this is too, is having somebody like trying to coach you around this. I have clients that say, well, my knees are shot. I can't train my lower body. Well, a good coach can figure out how can you train your lower body without hurting your knees. Also, how can you get better instead of just doing the same workout? How can you see changes in your body? Most people don't have the knowledge, the time, the energy, or the ability to put together a solid program that's going to keep them seeing results and keep them motivated. So I recommend coaching. I do coaching even from fitness people, even though I'm a fitness person, because I need to be pushed as well, and I need to be accountable with my goals as well. So if I'm a coach and I don't buy what I'm selling, it doesn't really make any sense. I don't really believe in what I sell. So you have to be, I think if you want, in all areas of my life, like business, my spiritual life, I've always believed that coaching is really what's brought me along and challenged me, because we can always give ourselves excuses and make up a bunch of BS as to why we can kind of be easy on ourselves, or why we can skip our workout today, or whatever else that's important. And having somebody to be accountable to makes a big difference when you have to check in. Let's just talk a little bit about why conventional diets fail. They're really, like, if you see like a lot of these commercials, MetaFast and a lot of these places, they focus on weight loss, on how much weight you can lose, 30 pounds in 30 days. You see all kinds of things like this, and it's all about weight loss. And when we were in college, we were taught 3,500 calories is what you need to gain or lose a pound of fat. So if I eat 500 calories extra per day for 7 days, I'm going to gain a pound of fat. If I cut my calories by 500 calories a day, and I do that for 7 days, I'm going to lose a pound of fat. That's what we were taught in college. The problem is if you weigh 200 pounds, reduce your calories by 1,000 per day, and you lose about 2 pounds a week, that's the math. You should lose about 104 pounds a year. And we know that just does not happen. But if you keep dropping those calories in that deficit, if it was going to continue on, you'd weigh negative 8 pounds. And that would be probably means you're not on this planet anymore. So conventional diets, a lot of times you're going to lose weight, but you're going to lose a lot of muscle along with the fat. You're going to get that skinny fat look. And your body's going to go into kind of a starvation mode where it's going to be wanting to store fat. You got to remember, the body has fat. Fat is its emergency source of energy. So if it thinks it's in a like a stressful state, like a starvation state, it's going to shut things down and lower things down and protect that fat, because that's your reserves. And it's going to start breaking down muscle tissue, especially if you're just dieting and not exercising, because like I said, if you're not using your muscles, it's going to look to the muscles as there's a source of energy. We can break that down. They're not being used for anything. And so a lot of these diets they do that. I see that where people will drop weight, but there's no definition. And I know most people don't come in and say, I want to be skinny fat. Most people say, I want to get toned. And toned means you're improving your body composition, meaning that you're going to improve your muscle to fat ratio as you drop the weight. You're not going to see, as you see that, if you see somebody, and I'm going to give you this example here, this typical dieter, this is Jane Dieter, 40 years old, 170 pounds, body fat's 27%. So she's not obese, but she's overweight. She's doing about 2,500 calories a day, right? Skipping breakfast, eating later in the day, 2 big meals a day, because she has to get the kids out the door in the morning. Then she gets going to work, or probably in this day, she goes downstairs to work, and then maybe has a big lunch, a decent sized lunch. But then by night she's stressing, and it starts maybe at like 4:00 p.m., starts eating chips, snacking on things, into a big meal at night, which sits in her stomach at night. And the whole cycle starts to repeat itself over and over again. And, they drop the calories, and then in 2 weeks, she gets results, starts to drop weight. But, a lot of times when people are dieting, do they look good? Do they feel good? A lot of times they look pretty miserable, and their metabolic rate starts to decline, because your body, like I said, if you're starting to do a drastic cut in calories, you're going to see, you're going to lose weight, but you're also going to see your energy, your strength might decline if you are working out. So you don't want to make these drastic cuts, because a lot of times you're going to feel like, the scale's moving, but boy, I feel like crap. And you're not going to see that definition that you want to. You're going to start getting weaker and weaker over time. And then what they'll do is they'll get down, all of a sudden they hit a plateau. So let's just keep cutting those calories, right? That's a simple thing to do the math. The weight drops down to 150 pounds, might feel like headaches, might have cravings. And at this point, it's white knuckling it, where you feel like I got to put tape across my like this woman in the picture, I got to put tape across my mouth or do something drastic to really, it's all willpower at this point. It's not like it feels like, hey, I don't feel hungry. I have good energy. I'm struggling here, but I got to lose the weight, right? And so after the diet, she gets down to 140 pounds, but her body fat's only dropped to 24%. She's lost 30 pounds, but she's only lost 3% body fat, which is 9 pounds, which a lot of that was going to be water and fat weight. So that's where you get that result. And then you've got, 21 pounds of lean tissue and water and only 9 pounds of body fat. That's where you get that skinny fat look, where you just become a smaller version of yourself, or you get that loose skin look. And then what happens is a year later, she's, she on the scale, she shows 175 pounds, but her body fat's actually higher. She's actually in the obese category because now she's starved off that muscle, and her calorie intake's even less than it was last year. But she's this yo-yo dieter and remembers like, okay, I'm going to go back on that diet again where I lost all that weight because I failed the diet when really the diet failed her. And she just keeps repeating the cycle, or she jumps on the next diet, which is similar, which is another good, not a good long-term solution, but repeats this cycle over and over again. And I see this so much in our society. So we're going to talk about some guidelines here that are really important, I think, that are just that over time I've seen have worked really, really well for people. As I feel like people just have to, people talk about intermittent fasting and stuff. Most people need to start with the fundamentals. They try to do this intermittent fasting thing, and I find that with women, a lot of times it sets off cravings later in the day. So a big thing is to start eating more frequently. And I have 5 to 6 meals there a day. I would say 4 to 6 meals is pretty good. Most people I know, 3 meals a day doesn't cut it. And a lot of times, especially in the afternoon, I think having that afternoon snack at about 3 o'clock, maybe halfway between lunch and dinner, is key because it keeps the blood sugar up. And when the blood sugar drops, that's why we get hungry at the end of the workday. The blood sugar is down because we haven't eaten since lunch. We're at the end of the day, we're stressed out, and that's where we tend to reach for the chips, the candy, the sugar, whatever it is. So I really think 3 meals and at least 1 snack a day, if not 2. Most people, I think 4 to 5 meals a day are good. Some people can go to 6 a day. Try to space those meals evenly. I say anywhere from 2 to 4 hours apart, and try to eat around the same times a day. Your body likes to get in a rhythm. And think of this as like kindling on the fire. When you eat more frequently and smaller amounts, your body can digest that food better, and your blood sugar is going to stay more stable. What happens when you get hungry a lot of times is you haven't eaten for a while, and we've all experienced this. Your blood sugar drops into the hole, and we're really, really hungry. When it gets down there, your body's freaking out. It's like, I need food now, so don't let it drop down there. And that's why skipping meals is so bad, because our body's going to try to make up those calories somewhere down the line. And a lot of times it's in the evening, which kind of really leads me to number 2 is, eating a bigger breakfast. This is a big one that's hard for a lot of people because a lot of times, like it says, 70% of our country eats 70% of their calories after 7 p.m. We eat a lot of our meals late at night, and then we sit in our stomach, and in the morning we're not hungry because we can't really digest food really effectively when we're sleeping. So when we have a big meal at night, we have our biggest meal at night, we wake up, no wonder we don't feel like having breakfast. So we have to shift this course. So eating your breakfast, eating your biggest, trying to make your biggest meal, or keeping your meals more evenly spaced, making sure you have a good breakfast in the morning. It's like, it's break the fast, and it's like lighting your grill. It's like lighting your metabolism up in the morning. So having a good breakfast with some high quality protein, some good carbs, and this takes a little bit of shifting, but it makes a big difference because what you do earlier in the day determines what you do later in the day. So you're actually eating more of your calories earlier in the day when you're more active, and at night, where typically people are less active, you're eating less calories. So we're making that shift. That's where you get breakfast like a king, lunch like a queen. Lunch is a little smaller, dinner like a prince, and dinner is a little bit lighter. When most of our country has this in reverse. And I see this as a prevalent problem a lot of times when I look at a lot of the food journals, is I see, the calories at dinner equal the total calories at dinner equal to or greater than lunch and breakfast combined. And that's a big one that we really point out to a lot of our clients. So this is just like I said, I'm pointing out things that I see where a lot of people get stuck. And so when you have those calories has a big difference, because when you eat a lot of those calories early in the day, your body has a chance to use them, process them, burn them off, versus eating them all at night right before bed, where you're not really burning a lot of calories when you go to bed. Protein at every meal and snack. This is really key because protein obviously is a building block macronutrient. Muscle, skin, hair, it is your building block protein, but it's also a great blood sugar stabilizer. And I mentioned one of the things that gets people hungry is their blood sugar. It can either spike or can crash. Well, the great thing about protein is when you put it into a meal, and typically you might want to write this down, 20 to 30 grams for women at a meal, 30 to 40 grams for guys, and then at snacks about 10 to 20 for women, and 20 to 30 for guys, because protein takes a while for your body to break down, and that slows down the emptying time of the meal, meaning that when you have something that's all sugar, all carbohydrate, you can kind of feel it hit your system quick. You get kind of a burst of energy, and then you get a crash. That's because your blood sugar hits your system very, very quickly, or that carbohydrate hits your system very quickly, and that raises your blood sugar quickly. When you do that, your body has to release a lot of insulin to get that blood sugar back under control. And when you're doing that chronically, that puts a lot of high levels of insulin in your body. And insulin is a storage hormone. So when you have high levels of storage hormone in your body, you get really, really good at storing, not burning. And so when we keep our insulin more regulated and lower, and we keep that blood sugar stable, hormonally, you're in a better position to burn fat. So protein helps, when you eat protein with carbohydrates at every meal, at every snack, or you eat more of a high protein diet, what happens is it's down the emptying time of the meal, and that keeps your blood sugar from going too high. It also keeps it from going too low because that meal takes longer for your body to digest, which is a good thing because it's releasing it into your bloodstream at a more slower, more consistent amount, kind of like they do with drugs, where they have time-release drugs, where they release that drug into your system in more of a consistent, steady amount versus having it like a shot where you do an adrenaline shot where it just hits your system quick. So having that protein is really key. That's why we really push protein at every meal and snack. And I gave you those numbers because a lot of times people's idea of a lot of protein is 5 grams. No, you need to get more than that. And you will notice when you increase your protein, your cravings will go away, your hunger will go away, your energy will be more consistent. It's just like an automatic thing that we see. Trying to equal our carbohydrates and protein every meal. This is just a really easy way to do it. So if you use some way to track, it's pretty hard to get one-to-one, but I tell most people, unless you're like a landscaper or like an athlete in training, which most people aren't, try to keep your carbohydrates similar to your grams of protein. A lot of times I see, even good carbohydrates, I'll see like 90 grams of carbohydrate and like 7 grams of protein. There's just an imbalance there. So we want to keep these two macronutrients fairly balanced. For most people, that's just a really easy way to remember it. Never going to get one-to-one, but if you had 30 grams of carbs and 25 grams of protein, that's a lot better. That's not a complete balance than 90 grams of carbs and 7 grams of protein. And that's just another thing I notice a lot. And when people get this more in balance, it makes a big difference. Limit fast and fried foods. And the reason why, trans fats are toxic to your system, and that create inflammation. When you eat these types of foods, and typically they use a lot of vegetable oils to fry the foods, which are pro-inflammatory. When your body's inflamed, you cannot use, once again, I talked about insulin. Insulin's a big factor in if you're going to lose fat. So when you have inflammation in your body, your capillaries, your muscle cells, think of them as little hoses that feed your muscle cells. You want the carbohydrate to go through those hoses into the muscle cell. Well, when we get inflammation from having fried foods and vegetable oils, what we're going to see is those hoses to the muscle cells are going to get kind of like a hose are going to get pink. And now that sugar can't get to the muscle cells, well, like your body has to put it somewhere. So it's going to be more likely to put it in the storehouse, which is where you see the weight gain right around the middle and a lot of times in the upper back. That's usually a sign that your insulin levels are high. You have poor insulin sensitivity. So reducing your amount of inflammation in your body is going to be key to helping your insulin work better, so that your body's taking the carbohydrate you do consume and putting it into the muscle and the liver versus putting it in the storehouse around the midsection. So kind of look at where you might be trying to lose weight. That's a big sign. If you have a lot of around the middle and the upper back, that's usually a sign that you really have to work on getting your insulin more under control. And then the other thing too is limiting white carbohydrates. They're typically going to release like sugars. Simple sugars, not the simple sugars in fruit, but I'm talking about refined sugars you see in things that are so-called healthy, like in yogurt, breakfast cereal. A lot of people like to run to Starbucks, and Starbucks and these things are really good at marketing these things. But if you're taking in those refined sugars where it's sugar that's been added in for flavor, it's going to raise your blood sugar out. And then the snacky foods. Think about the snacky foods. Maybe they don't have sugar in them, like
awesome
crackers, all these things. When you eat those,
it looks dirty, but like I scrubbed it.
Yeah.
I think that's more like stickers.
You keep eating those things over and over again. So one of the things that you see at like a party is if you're not eating, you have a bowl of pretzels and a bowl of apples. What you're going to see is that you're going to keep refilling the bowl of pretzels because you never get satisfied. So these snacky foods a lot of times are going to raise your blood sugar up. So I know my dad's struggle is he eats a lot of Chex Mix and he's got a big belly in the middle. And so we try to eliminate these types of foods. White rice, white sugar. When you have something that's white, it's been stripped of all its nutrients. Usually it's just carbohydrates. So things that have more color and things that don't cook quickly, these things aren't going to raise your blood sugar as rapidly. And if you're mixing in protein, that's going to keep your blood sugar in control. So these all tie into creating a better hormonal environment for your body to burn fat. The other thing is when do you eat carbohydrates? People demonize carbohydrates, but when you eat them around the time post-workout, that is going to be more advantageous.
And you could like make muffins
around the most active times a day. You're going to use them.
I know there's some online.
Like I said, if you eat them at night,
I haven't looked on that yet. I literally
store them as fat. You're typically less insulin sensitive, and so make sure that when you eat your carbohydrates, ideally eat them around your most active times a day, usually before and after your workout times, or if you're going to.
There's other things, but that comes later.
More of your vegetable carbs at night.
Yeah, I was like, no. Well, then I was saying, I'm like,
hold on, I'm going to mute.
Do I get hurt now?
Yes.
All right,
I got
All right, hopefully you guys can hear me still. All right, so make sure you limit your starches and fruits after 3 p.m. And that you're eating your carbohydrates around the time when your body has the most chance to use them. If you're eating them at night before bed, that is not going to go well for you. And so carbohydrates are not bad, but timing is key for carbohydrates. And I'll move on to the next slide here. Oh, come on. All right. Water. We don't think about water as much, but water is really, really important to help you burn fat and flush out toxins. So water helps you move things through your digestive system. Water also helps keep the liver and kidneys well hydrated. There's like oil for those organs, and the liver is your main metabolic organ. And so if your liver if you don't have good hydration, you're going to compromise the liver's ability to metabolize. So when you hear metabolism, liver is really important for that and helps you to burn fat. Also, when you drink a lot of water, you get rid of all the excess water that sits under your skin. You flush out excess water, which can technically is not body fat, but it's also you know, when it'll also add inches and it'll also distort your definition. So getting that excess water retention off by drinking more water to flush that out is really, really important. Keep your sodium around 2,000 and 2,500 milligrams a daily. We do need sodium, but a lot of people will eat things that are high in sodium, and that can also add to water retention. So this isn't really so much a fat loss, but it's also, once again, keeping you feeling tighter and leaner. And you're going to see anything in a box, a can, or like your deli meats are going to be really, really high. And eating out. I should probably add eating out. So these things are going to jack your sodium up. So it's really important to pay attention to that. I'm going to talk about, if you haven't used the MyFitnessPal app, that's a good way to track this. But, you know, right around 2,000, 2,500 is good because you do need sodium. It is an electrolyte. It does help with muscle contraction, and it does help your muscles function better. And a lot of times people go the other direction. They go too low, and that can be bad too. But that's kind of the sweet spot, 2,000 to 2,500 milligrams daily. And so really keep that sodium under control as well to reduce water retention. Because if you have a lot of water retention, you're going to feel and look more bloated. And so we're trying to tie a little bit of aesthetics here, but I threw that one in there for that reason. This is another one. I don't mean to be a buzzkill, no pun intended, but ditching or seriously minimizing alcohol. Alcohol messes with your hormones. It'll shut down your fat burning. It creates excess calories that buds in line in front of your fat, your carbohydrates. So your body will burn the alcohol calories before it'll burn the other ones because it absorbs quicker than those other two. It acts a lot like sugar. And a lot of times because it acts like sugar, it triggers hunger, it reduces inhibitions, and it's inflammatory, meaning, like I said, inflammation works against your insulin. So alcohol, if you like to have a few adult beverages, I would say that 1 time a week would be your max. If you're serious about fat loss, all right? That's what people have to make a choice. Some people are like, well, I don't want to give up my nightly wine. I don't want to give up my beer after work. Well, then you're making a decision that alcohol is more important than your results. And that's what it comes down to. You can't get something for nothing. And I'll tell you what, people that make this step usually lose about 10 to 15 pounds fairly quickly because alcohol makes you hold water. It's inflammatory. And when you're inflammatory, you're more bloated. But when you get the alcohol out, your body can work better and the metabolism can work better. The hormones can work better. So really look at, if you're one of these people that I eat healthy, I exercise, but I'm not losing weight, a lot of times if you're having a glass of wine or two a night, usually that's the thing that's holding you back. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I'm here to tell you the truth. And like they say, the truth sometimes hurts, but it heals. And lies can comfort and kill. I'm here to tell you what's going to get you results. So a lot of times this is where people are stuck. This is the one thing that comes up, and you know that they just kind of let out that sigh and they say, oh, really? And I know I did this with my cousin who told me she couldn't lose weight and she was exercising and eating good. And then when I asked her how many drinks she had a week, and she said, well, you mean a day? She was having 2 mixed drinks a day. And she let out this big sigh. And I remember that. I'm like, that's the problem. I'm just telling you, I've seen it over and over again. And then make sure you're getting daily core nutrition. So like having a good multivitamin, having all your vitamins and minerals in the right amounts are like spark plugs for your metabolic engine. They also help keep your immune system strong, especially now we have COVID. We have to think about that. So, you know, putting up everything possible to give your body a fighting chance, because if you're sick, you can't work out. If you're missing nutrients, your metabolism is not going to work as well as you can. And if you don't have to be a mechanic to know if your spark plugs wires are crossed in your engine's misfiring. It might be running, but it's not running as efficiently. So daily core nutrition is, like I said, omega-3s, a multivitamin, and I would recommend a probiotic for a good gut health, which is where your 70% of your immune system works. All right, so those are my guidelines. So where do you start, all right, with nutrition? Well, the first place that I would start is you're getting your gut health in line, because when your gut health is good, your immune system's good, your metabolism works better, you have more energy, and it also has a lot to do with cognition. They talk about your second brain living in your gut. And a lot of times with women, especially for women, we talk about breast cancer, but every 9 seconds somebody dies of colon cancer. That's a pretty bad one. That's an important part of your body. And so we want to take good care of your gut. So when we say a cleanse, we do a cleanse first. We're not talking about, taking a bunch of laxatives, or if you're getting ready for a colonoscopy, that kind of thing. We're talking about restoring balance to your gut. And you've got to remember, you got about 30 feet of digestive tract, a 30-foot hose going through your gut. And the idea is when you have the gut working well, it's going to push the bad stuff out and get the good stuff into your system that your body needs to be healthy. And a good cleanse is going to have some fiber, because we all know we need fiber, and most Americans are about, way short of fiber. Probably about 12 grams is the average I see, if that. And women need about 25, and guys need about 30 to 35 grams. And so we're going to have some good fiber to move things through the system. Probiotics, which are good, healthy bacteria, which help your body work with the fiber to get the bad stuff out and absorb the good stuff in and help protect the gut lining. And then herbals to help move things along. Those much easier. Start tracking what you want to improve. So my favorite one that we use mostly is the myfitnesspal.com. You can get it as an app on your phone. It's free. They will try to sell you premium. You do not need premium. Most people don't need to track at the premium level. So doing the just basic MyFitnessPal, you can track sodium, you can track fiber, you can track all these things we're talking about. It's a really good app that we use, and a lot of people maybe already have it that are going to watch this and listen to this. So make sure you're tracking things, because if you're not tracking, you don't know. It's just kind of like if you don't look at your bank account, you don't know how much money's in there. And a lot of times we forget about our deposits and withdrawals. And if we don't keep good track of that, we're not going to have good financial health. And the same goes here with your nutritional health. Exercise. Now, this depends on where you're at. If you're already exercising, you need to step it up. If you're not exercising, adding even just something is going to make a big difference. So cardiovascular. One thing I'm going to say is don't get married to one type of cardiovascular training. Make sure you keep your body guessing. The idea with cardiovascular is keep your body inefficient. Mix in some moderate cardiovascular, brisk walk, light jog, elliptical with some high intensity. Some high intensity cardio a couple times a week will be good, because what high intensity cardio does is it kicks up human growth hormone and other catecholamines, which are human growth hormone helps you burn fat, and catecholamines help you burn fat. And you only get this from high intensity work. The problem, if you do too much high intensity work, what will happen is your body will get overstressed, your cortisol levels will go through the roof, and you'll actually go backwards. So I would say, if you're doing cardiovascular, if you're doing twice a week, do 1 hit high intensity and 1 moderate cardio day. If you're doing it 4 times a week, 2 hits and 2 moderates. So kind of make it a balanced approach. They're both good. They're both good at helping you create a deficit. One's just a little better at spiking the hormones, but you don't want to do too much of it. Just like a drug, too much of it isn't a good thing. Strength training 2 to 4 times a week, total metabolic style. So meaning we're going to work the whole body, because we're going to burn more calories. That way you're going to do more full body movements and more compound movements like squats, lunges, squat to press, step ups, push-ups, instead of like tricep extensions, bicep curls, leg extension, leg curl. Those aren't going to be as effective. Total body is going to stress your whole body. It's going to burn more calories. And the bigger lifts are going to, once again, they're going to help drive up key fat burning hormones. And you want to be moving from thing to thing fairly quickly. So we're supersetting, we're doing circuits, meaning we're doing little or no rest between exercises, because the idea here is to get the heart rate up. When we get the heart rate up and we use big movements, that creates a good hormonal environment for burning fat. NEAT, which we never talked about in the past, but I've seen this as a big thing. I have a Fitbit here, and the Fitbit is awesome for, tracking your steps. You might have an Apple Watch, a Garmin, but I would suggest even just buying a pedometer and trying to get to 10,000 steps daily. Like I said at the beginning of this webinar, a lot of people will do their 30 minutes of cardio and they think they're good to go for the day, and they sit for the rest of the day, and they maybe get 3,000, 4,000 steps in a day. Your body will reflect how much you move it. So making a conscious effort to get, NEAT stands for non-exercise activity thermogenesis, meaning this is all, if you have a more active lifestyle, this is going to make a big difference. I have a woman I'm training right now who's actually going to be our client of the week. You know what her cardio is? She cleans 3 to 4 houses a day for her job. I give her 0 cardio and she does strength training, and she's dropping body fat like crazy because she's getting probably double that per day with what she does for a living. So make sure you're getting your steps in, especially in the winter. Be creative, park farther away, take the stairs, walk your dog for a longer walk, be intentional about getting 10,000 steps a day. And you might be at once you track it, you might be at 4,000. Well, I don't expect you to go from 4,000 to 10,000, but work your way up to 10,000 in increments. Go 4,000. Okay, now I'm going to get to 5,000. Now I've got 5,000 going. Now I'm going to get to 6,000, and so forth. So paying attention to how often you're moving your body, make that a priority. And then I talked about a movement program: mobility, flexibility, stability. Keep your body moving good. Like I said, when your body's moving good and it's stable, it reduces the stress on the joints, which lowers your cortisol levels. And when you have less cortisol, you have lower blood sugars, which I said, like in the beginning, lower blood sugars is key for fat loss. So we have stressful joint issues and we don't move well and everything hurts all the time, it's going to be really hard to burn body fat. And injuries, number 2 here, when we get injuries, that is the biggest motivation killer. I can't tell you how many times people, when they've gained a bunch of weight, what happened? I got injured. I quit working out. I got really inactive. I started to feel bad. I sat on the couch and it just killed my motivation. So we want to prevent injuries. So we have to have a good mobility, flexibility, and stability program. So we're trying to bulletproof or put some armor around your body so you don't get hurt. And the muscles, when you do this, the exercises will feel better while you're doing them. Your knees won't hurt as much when you squat. Your shoulder won't hurt when you're pressing. So doing this piece makes exercise more enjoyable, but also hormonally, it keeps you in an environment where you will actually burn more body fat because your hormones are going to be more in line. And so people don't ever talk about this, but this is a key part of from the exercise side of things. Here's a few people I've worked with. I'm just going to give you a few examples. Here's a guy I worked with. He's about my age. I think he's maybe a year older. He was kind of mountain biking a little bit here and there, but he wasn't really consistently doing anything with any structure. And this is just in 12 weeks. And and for guys, it's a quicker process just because hormonally programmed that way. But, he had a home gym. We set him up with a program at home. He worked with us for 12 weeks. He did our 24-day kickstart, which I'm going to talk about. And you can just see the difference. He dropped from like 19% body fat to 9%. I mean, you can see abs. This is just in 12 weeks of consistent effort. And by no means was he perfect, but he made a good, consistent effort of doing the things we talked about here today. This is our manager, Tracy. When she first came in, she was running all the time, but she was injured. Remember, I talked about injuries are not good for fat loss. And then we got the injuries under control. So we got her moving better. And then the second thing is, I remember she was like, I want to lose body fat. I don't like the way I feel when I run. I feel like I'm jiggling too much. So we started doing nutrition, and she attacked the nutrition. And now she's our manager. She had such good results, and she knows the power of good nutrition. So that was a game changer. And you'd think somebody who ran all the time would have a low body fat. And that's just sometimes not the case, because if you're not paying attention to your eating, you have bad eating habits. Like I said, they can negate all the calories you burn from whatever type of exercise you're doing. And plus, a lot of runners I know are injured. So they're inflamed, they're hurt, they're battling an injury. And like I said, when you're inflamed, it's really hard to lose body fat. So we took care of those 2 things with her when we started working with her, and she stayed on. Now she's the glue that holds our business together. Alicia was a busy mom with 4 kids, you know, and on the left there, the picture on the left, she was not pregnant. She was just eating a lot of the wrong things and not moving. And you can see just from nutrition coaching and moving more, the difference in this was a 6-month difference, but you can see it's a night and day difference, how much she dropped, about 40 pounds of weight. So these are just a few of the examples, some of the people that we've worked with that have implemented the things we talked about here today. So, you know, where do you go from here? You know, some of you guys are already working with us and might be already doing these things, and this is just a good technical brush up, or maybe you haven't done this. But we do this 24-day kickstart program. This is our best, I feel like our best program we've used over the years to really hone in the nutrition. Like I said, nutrition is 70 to 80% of your results. We have 90 days of nutrition coaching, and usually we are going to meet more in the initial phases because we want you to get going. And a lot of times the getting going is hard, but it's getting that traction, that momentum at the beginning. So it's even though it's called a 24-day kickstart, I commit to a minimum of 90 days with people because I know it doesn't just change in 24 days. The 24-day kickstart is the Advocare system. We give you some products, you get a sweet journal, and there's some basic products we customize to you that most people do pretty well on. We start with our 10-day herbal cleanse kit, which we want to balance the gut. We have Spark, which is good for energy, mental focus. We have some shakes that are quality shakes, and then a metabolic nutrition system packets, which are really good too. So we have some good products to support that. We talked about the supplementation, the core nutrition end, and then we'll customize a plan, a workout plan for you for each of those 3 months. So we'll give you a workout plan that you can follow, whether you have a home gym or go to a gym. We'll make sure whatever level you're at, that's why it's called customized. We make sure you have a solid exercise plan to go with this, and we'll meet you where you're at. If you're just starting from ground zero, believe me, we're not going to kill you. We're not going to expect you to go to the gym 7 days a week. We're trying to create a pattern of consistently. And I really think this is the priceless. I couldn't put a price on this one. Weekly check-ins and accountability to make sure you're doing the things you need to do on the nutrition side of things and the exercise side of things to make sure you're getting, you're following through consistently. And I'll tell you, I'll be real honest with you. A lot of times people might, you know, have an off day during the 24 days. They might give in and have that glass of wine or eat that treat. But the goal with the 24-day kickstart is to make your 24 days on this look much better than the previous 24 days. That doesn't mean they got to be a perfect 24 days, but it starts to develop a pattern of consistency. And if you're in the area, we take measurements before and after this just to show you the power of this. I see people lose 5 to 10 pounds, 5 to 10 inches, and 2 to 3% body fat in just 24 days. And sometimes I've seen more. If it's a bigger person, if it's a smaller person, it might be a little less. But generally speaking, you can see some noticeable results over the first 24 days, and that gives you a win. And when you get that win, that creates momentum, and that's what people mostly need. They need a win to get back into momentum. They've had too many losses, especially with COVID, and they need a win. So this 24-day kickstart is an awesome plan. If you're currently working with us, you've never done this, you can reach out to us. But couple ways you can get advantage. I'm doing this for $249. I'm giving all this away for $249 if you commit by 10/31, and that's a $50 savings on the program. And if you commit by 10/31, we will do this with you and we'll get you rolling, right? And it's perfect to do this right before the holidays, because if you start this thing by the end of the month or right at the beginning of November, guess when you get done with this and you have some momentum right when Thanksgiving starts, right? And that's where usually people get off the rails. So this is a really good program. If you like what you heard today, reach out. You can email me or you can personal message me on Facebook and say, hey, I want to do the 24-day kickstart. We'll take a phone call. We'll get you set up. If you're already working with us, we'll reach out to you personally. But hopefully this was useful to you. It can be done. It takes an effort. It takes support and accountability with a coach, but you can turn this thing around. And if nothing else today, take one thing you learned here today and implement it. Because if you spent this time here with me today and you watched this and you took time to watch this webinar, at least take one thing from here that maybe you were doing and you need to start doing again, or you decided, like, gosh, I've never done that, and implement that thing. That's what I would say, at least if you do anything coming out of the seminar. But if you're ready to take that nutrition to the next level and really match that up, maybe you're already working out and you're like, yeah, I'm working out, but my nutrition is just so inconsistent. We can help you with this. I think this is, like I said, the best program we've used over the years. If you look on our website, our testimonials, most of our people start with this along with their personal training. And I'll just tell you this, I'll close with this. I had a woman yesterday, and I don't have her on my, obviously she's a a counselor, so she doesn't want, I can't put her up in public as a testimonial because counselors really have a big thing about privacy. But I'll tell you this: is she was a fitness instructor at the YMCA. She's very active. She gets over 10,000 steps a day of walking. But her problem was I'm a foodie too. She loves food like I do. She comes from the Middle East and she loves to cook and she loves to do those things. But nobody's ever dialed in her food for her, and she was always kind of stuck at a weight that she wasn't happy with. Well, we've been working together for 3 months, and yesterday she came in. You can see how her body has changed. You can see she's got curves, good curves, some definition. Her body looks completely different. She's dropped 25 pounds, about 8% body fat, and I believe it was right around 20 inches around all her girth measurements. And that's just in 3 months of consistency. And so this does work. It just has to be, are you ready to take it to the next level? And if not, take one of the things you learned today and just implement it. And we'll definitely have more seminars like this. But that's just one example of somebody, and it makes me fired up to see that, hey, this person, when we change her nutrition for the better, and she still enjoys a lot of the things she enjoys, she's just learned how to create the right balance. It's a game changer. And that's even for somebody who works in the fitness industry and works out all the time, can even get stuck too. So that's it for today. I'm going to stop my screen share here, but reach out either via email, Facebook, or if you're one of our clients, you can text one of our staff that you're working with, and we'll get you set up on this. I hope this was useful to you, and I hope you can, I'm going to put this up and record it. So if you have friends you think would be benefited, there we go, by this, definitely have them watch this. And this is, this is the time of year to get it going. Like I said, summer bodies are made in the winter, and don't let this cold weather psych you out. Instead, this is a great time to be focused on working on yourself in more ways than one. Mind, body, spirit, we always say, but this is, the nutrition's a weak spot. Give this thing a try. And thanks for being on today. And thanks for watching this. If you're watching this on replay, and we'll have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.